Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Offlimits. Our guest today is Ashok Dhawale. I think everybody should be knowing him by now. He's the farmers' leader. He's the president of the All India Kisan Sabha and also a leader of the Samyukt Kisan Morcha. He's been very much in the news and is leading the farmers' movement along with a few others. Welcome to Offlimits. Mr. Dhawale.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Seema, very much for this opportunity. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I know you're very busy. There's too much happening, so we're not going to take too much of your time. But before I go into other issues, what are the demands? I mean, this is for our readers, our lay readers. What are the demands that are still pending? The main demands, the one or two. I don't want the thing, but which really keeps farmers together since the last big agitation.
Right. Now the Samyukt Kisan Morcha has been leading this struggle, as you know, from 26 November 2020. And now it is more than 3.5 years. The first lot of the struggle, which went on for 13 months, as everybody in the country knows, demand number one was the repeal of the 3 farm laws, which were anti-farmer and pro-corporate, anti-people. That was achieved. Eventually, the Modi government was forced to repeal those 3 farm laws as a result of this 1-year struggle, which is, by the way, really an iconic struggle, not only in the history of India, but maybe also in the history of the world, because lakhs of farmers just staying put on the borders of Delhi for exactly 1 month, 1 year and 15 days has not happened anywhere else. And therefore, that was a victorious struggle, yes. But at the same time, during that struggle itself, since you said 2 or 3 demands, I will just say, for which we are still fighting, which were not conceded at that time. The major demand had to be conceded regarding the repeal of the 3 farm laws. But 3 or 4 major demands that remain, that only I'm just pointing out in a very bullet point thing. Number one, the most important demand is that every farmer must get minimum support price for his crops at the rate of 1.5 times the cost of production. That is demand number one. It was there in the earlier struggle also as demand number 2. Now it has become demand number 1. By the way, this is exactly the recommendation of the National Commission on Farmers, which was headed by Dr. M.S. Swaminathan. And it is a tremendous irony that the BJP government has given a Bharat Ratna award to Dr. M.S. Swaminathan while totally ignoring not only this major recommendation, but every single recommendation of the National Commission on Farmers, of which Dr. Swaminathan was the chair. So this is demand number 1. Demand number 2 is that we want a complete one-time loan waiver for all the poor and middle farmers and for all the agricultural workers in India by the central government. Now, why do we make this demand? Because in the last 10 years of the Modi government itself, more than 1 lakh farmers have committed suicide due to indebtedness. Now, this is a very, very tragic phenomenon. It has actually started right since the neoliberal policies began in 1991. But in the last 10 years, they have grown tremendously. And these, by the way, are official government figures of the National Crime Records Bureau, which comes directly under the Union Home Ministry, headed by Mr. Amit Shah. So these farmer suicide figures are part of the government official record. Because more than 1 lakh farmers have committed suicide due to indebtedness in the last 10 years, this is our second demand, that give a one-time loan waiver to all the poor and middle farmers in India and also to the agricultural laborers who are also indebted. Now, earlier, two central governments have given some kind of a loan waiver. First was the VP Singh led government in 1990. At that time, for the first time, the central government made a loan waiver for farmers all over India, which at that time was 10,000 rupees per farmer. Now, in 1990, which is now 33 years, 34 years ago, 10,000 rupees was a big sum. You know, it was not a complete loan waiver, but 10,000 rupees per farmer was waived by the VP Singh government. In 2008, the Manmohan Singh government also made a partial loan waiver scheme, which also helped farmers to some extent. Although that was also not a full loan waiver, but at least that happened. Today, the Modi government, in spite of making both these promises in the 2014 Lok Sabha elections, the MSP at the rate of 1.5 times the cost of production and a loan waiver, both these things they had promised in 2014, they have done none of this. And instead of giving even one naya paisa of loan waiver to farmers, it is a tragic matter which we are propagating everywhere. They have actually given and written off loans worth more than 15 lakh crore rupees to a handful of their crony corporates in the last 10 years. That means loan waiver is there for your crony corporates to the extent of 15 lakh crore rupees, not a single loan waiver paisa to the farmers, 1 lakh of whom have been forced to commit suicide due to indebtedness. So these are the two very major demands.
So why?
Two more I will just mention.
Go ahead, please.
Can I mention two more? Just two more, which will complete the picture.
Yeah.
Number three is that we know in India, especially due to this climate change phenomenon, we are having tremendous drought, flood, unseasonal rains, hailstorms. All these natural calamities have increased tremendously over the last 10 years. So it has been the farmers' demand that a comprehensive crop insurance scheme should be set up so that whatever farmers are losing as a result of the natural calamities, and they are losing a hell of a lot, that kind of a compensation is given to farmers so that they will be helped in times of these natural calamities. Unfortunately, the Prime Minister Fasal Bima Yojana, that is the PMFBY, which is a crop insurance scheme which was started by them after they came to power, there has been tremendous criticism by farmers, by even everyone who knows anything about that scheme. This scheme is very much pro-insurance companies. It is totally anti-farmer. So the insurance companies are being helped by it, corporates are being helped by it, farmers are getting nothing out of it. This is the third demand, that we want a total restructuring of this scheme so that farmers will be helped as a result of the natural calamities. Fourth and the last demand is that it's a matter of very elementary thing. You see, all government employees, when they retire, they get pension. All the other, so many other employees, they get pension. But when a farmer or an agricultural worker becomes over 60, and I think that his physical labor is much more than that of any other employee. I think that we can all agree that you see a farmer and an agricultural worker, the kind of physical labor that he does in his field is something fantastic. That also in the sun, in the rain, in the winter, etc. But all that, through all seasons, he has to work. We are demanding a very fundamental demand that a old age pension must be given, and a reasonable one, to all the farmers and agricultural workers by the central government after they complete the age of 60 years. That is another fourth major demand that the Sayukta Kisan Morcha has made. And these are some, others are there, but let us concentrate on these four demands, which are very, very much elementary and fundamental demands.
So why is it that the government, which has been talking about the minimum support price, which has talked about loan waivers, which has been sort of constantly raising it, why is it that it's resisting even now? Is it the maths? Have you done the maths? Or is it just what? I mean, one would think on the eve of elections, they would concede the demands and get the farmer lobby, the farmers back with them.
Correct. Absolutely. Very good question, Seema. The real reason why they have not given this in the last 10 years, in spite of having promised it in 2014, is the pressure of the corporate lobby on this government. It's very clear that this government is beholden to the corporate lobby. It acts at the behest of the corporate lobby. And I think nothing proves it as clearly as the last few days and all the revelations regarding the electoral bonds, about which all of us have been seeing in the last 1 week, thanks to the Supreme Court judgment, and as a result of the State Bank of India having forced to make all that public, and the Election Commission having been forced to break all that in front of us. So it's very clear the interests of the corporates are totally against, diametrically opposite to the interests of the farmers, of the agricultural workers, of the working class also. We'll include the working class in the cities. They are also there very much. Just as the 3 farm laws they brought, which they had to repeal, they have brought the 4 labor codes. You know, they have cancelled 29 labor laws for which the workers in India had fought for more than 100 years against the British, against the Congress, and all these laws came. In one stroke of the pen, the Modi government cancelled all the 29 labor laws and made 4 labor codes. This also is another bone of contention for which we are also fighting along with the central trade unions. So this pro-corporate bent of the government is actually responsible for them not conceding any of these demands, because if they do it, the corporate lobby will stop funding the election of Mr. Modi of the BJP. That is very, very clear.
But why is the corporate, let me do that, come back to another question arising from what you've said, is why is the corporate lobby against it? Is it because of the land, or is it because of more controls, or what? Why are they against anything being sanctioned for the farmers?
Correct. Very, very true. You see, very good question. Again, there are 2 basic reasons why the corporate lobby are against the farmers. Number 1 is that they want now a control over the whole of Indian agriculture. The corporate lobby wants control over Indian agriculture because they now see it. They generally already have control over Indian industry. No doubt about it. We are not taking names, etc. We know all the names for those who are controlling Indian industry. Along with the domestic corporates is also the multinational corporations who are also involved. Now that they have got control over Indian industry, up to now, they did not have full control over Indian agriculture. Now they have started trying to gain control over Indian agriculture in various ways. Like, for example, seed companies, fertilizer companies, companies which are producing insecticides. All these are now basically, at one time in India, many of these were public sector companies. You can imagine the Fertilizer Corporation of India many years ago. That was actually producing fertilizers. Today that has been put on the back burner. And it is the corporate companies which are producing fertilizer which are being given red carpet treatment in India. Similarly, seed companies, etc. So therefore, now it is the corporates who want complete control over agriculture. Now seeds, fertilizer, etc., they already got to some extent. Now they want control over marketing of agriculture. Up to now, the marketing thing is still to some extent under the control of the government of India. because of the minimum support price, the Food Corporation of India, procurement by the government of India, especially in states like Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh, parts of Rajasthan, and parts of Madhya Pradesh. Today, the MSP is still alive, and the government of India procures all this rice and wheat, especially. And this goes to the Food Corporation of India. The Food Corporation of India then brings it into the public distribution system, that is the rationing system, which is helping more than 81 crore people in India.
But
that is how people get food at a little cheaper price.
Right.
Now that entire chain, these corporates want to take control, and that is where they see the profits. And that's why they want to actually do away with the MSP regime, minimum support price. They want to finish off the public distribution system. That is exactly what these 3 farm laws were about. These 3 farm laws, they wanted to do away with MSP, wanted to do away with the public distribution system. That is one thing. So they want control over Indian agriculture to increase their super profits. The second very important thing, which you correctly indicated, is that they want also control over agricultural land. Land is a very important resource, and that is precisely why today the government is being pressurized to try and get maximum number of lands, so that that land can be taken from the farmers and given to the corporates. This is there in every section. Special economic zones, for example, one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is all these various other land acquisition, they seem to dilute the act, the LRR Act 2013, the attempts to see to it that the Adivasi farmers are displaced from their land, and that land is also given to the corporates for mining. For that action, they have Indian Forest Act, Forest Conservation Act. The government has already proposed amendments to them, so that the land can go to the corporates instead of the peasant agriculture. This is also the second reason why the corporates are against the farmers.
Right. So, when we again look back and when you follow this whole trajectory of corporatization, it has been going on fairly gradually under different governments as well. I mean, even the Swaminathan Commission report was not implemented by governments before the BJP government, right? And you have
Correct.
had this privatization, which is sort of insidiously, if not dramatically, crept up on us and now brought us to this position. So
Right.
how would you of course, you have to fight the government of the day, but would you say that the BJP, what it's doing, has its anchorage in the recent past?
Yeah, that is true. As I mentioned just now, the neoliberal policies actually began in India in 1991.
Right.
At that time, obviously, it was the Congress government which was there in power. The Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister, Manmohan Singh was the Finance Minister, etc. So certainly, the Congress government was responsible for ushering in these policies. There's no doubt about that. But it should also be said that the BJP government of Narendra Modi from 2014 speeded up the implementation of these policies tremendously, at a much greater rate than what the Congress had ever done. So therefore, we are not absolving the Congress. We are not at all absolving the Congress, but the BJP at the same time has definitely speeded up very much so. And the pro-corporate, which was there as part of the Congress also. But today, the BJP is actually acting as the dalals of the corporates, agents of the corporates. That is what is very clear now. As I said about the electoral bonds and all that we have seen so clearly, this whole thing that is happening. Therefore, what we say is that along with this, we have to try and see to it that this entire trajectory needs to be changed. We are very much aware of the fact that this trajectory needs to be changed. If the Indian farmers, I'll just say in this thing in this context, since you said gradually, yes, they did it gradually up to 2014. After that, they've increased the speed a lot. Just recently, I had the occasion to see one very good movie. Movie is called Deja Vu, and it was shown in Delhi recently. It was shown in Mumbai recently. Now it has been dubbed in Hindi by no less a person than Nasiruddin Shah. It is Bedavrat Pain who has actually made that movie. Wonderful movie, and I would just like our viewers to know that, and they should see it. It's been dubbed in Hindi and it's come in the name of Annadata. You see, he has given the American experience of the privatization of agriculture. When Ronald Reagan was the president, that was in the 1980s,
Yes.
that time this privatization of agriculture began in the USA, and they gave that slogan, get big or get out. Get big or get out. And so wonderfully that movie gives in America what happened. How they said that farmers are going to gain through the market policies, through neoliberal policies, which they say today also in India. And what happened to the farmers in America after 40 years, they have given a very, very wonderful kind of thing in that movie. And they have said that actually this is, unless we learn from the past, we are condemned to repeat this and repeat that tragedy that happened to the farmers in the USA. If we don't want to repeat it, we have to fight it right now. That is the sandesh, that is the message which the movie gives to all their viewers and readers. So I think that's a very good thing, which I would really appeal to all our viewers to really see that movie, Deja Vu, Annadata, on their these things.
Okay, excellent. Now coming to the farmers and to you, who is one of the leaders who's walked the talk, how difficult has it been to keep the farmers and all the organizations united? I mean, we constantly have little instances of somebody moving out. Even when you had that 1 year demonstration, you had people going and flying the flag. Or taking down the flag from the Red Fort, etc. And now at the Shambhu border, very recently, you had various organizations coming and holding a protest, which others didn't join, and your Morcha did not join. And they also started some kind of talks with the government, which of course didn't come to anything. But how difficult has it been, and how much of a dent do such getaway factions like what we saw at Shambhu make in farmers' unity?
Yeah. Thank you, Seema, for this very, very good question that you asked. Yes, you are right. Even in that 1 year struggle, although we tried our best to unite all the major farmer organizations in India, I will certainly say with a lot of proof that we succeeded in uniting 99% of the farmers' organizations in India at that particular point of time. And certainly the Sayukta Kisan Morcha that was formed at that time and which unitedly led that struggle for 1 year and 15 days. I think that was a miracle in itself. I'll tell you why. Because ideologically, all the 500 plus organizations that were a part of the Sayukta Kisan Morcha at that time, ideologically, many of them were left, some of them were right, many of them were center. So both left, right, center, all streams were represented in the Sayukta Kisan Morcha. But how did we keep that unity? We kept it on the question of issue-based unity. Are you in favor of repeal of the laws? Yes, wonderful, come along with us. Are you in favor of an MSP? Yes, wonderful, come with us. So issue-based unity was the need of the hour, and that we could manage to do. That is one very good thing. Another thing in the course of that struggle, what we did was, we also appealed to the working class of India. And it's a very good thing that the working class also responded very well. All the central trade unions, I must make a special mention of all of them. every single call of the SKM during that 1 year, the central trade unions supported it. Workers came along with farmers in all the 3 Bharat Bandhs, for example, that we had, all the rail roko, rasta roko, etc. that we had. So farmers and workers worked together. This was another major thing, the United Front tactics that we employed and which we could succeed during that period of time. Now, after the struggle ended in a victory, within a few months we found that certain organizations, they tried to break away without any real reason. Now, we can say this very frankly, that 1 or 2 of those organizations which tried to break away, their leaders were earlier very close to the RSS. I'm not taking any names, but they were very close to the RSS. We tried even then to try and tell them that, see, let us maintain the unity of the SKM, because it is this unity that has led to this victory against the government, which was not easy to achieve, but it is because of the unity. They took out some reason or the other, very flimsy reason, and they went away. But let me say, even today, even after that small splinter group went away, today 99% of the Sayukta Kisan Morcha is still united, still very much together, and hardly 1% of the people have gone away.
But what about the Shambhu border organizations?
So the Shambhu border thing, they took this position that, all right, now we are going to go to Delhi, etc. And we had given a call for a rural Bharat Bandh all over on 16th of February. They had earlier given their call on the 26th of February. Because we gave on the 16th, they preponed their call to the 13th of February. You see, to undercut our rural Bharat Bandh call. And then they started that. Then the government, we saw what they did. All those drones, for the first time in India, they threw all those tear gas shells in drones, which is condemnable. The Sayukta Kisan Morcha immediately came out with a statement condemning the government, because after all, the farmers are ours. Whoever there, the Shambhu border, we took a very, very united position. We said, all right, some people may have doing all right, they have the right to also make any agitation. We were very liberal about it. And the farmers are ours. So any attack on the farmers is an attack on the SKM. We condemned it the same day, and we gave a call that Shambhu border incidents must be taken up in the rural Bharat Bandh on 16 February, and they must be condemned all over the country. They were condemned all over the country by the Sayukta Kisan Morcha in the rural Bharat Bandh on the 16th of February. So that we did. And then we also gave a call for a big Delhi rally on the 14th of March. That is last week. And
Yes.
we saw that thousands and thousands of farmers came to Delhi at the Ram Maidan at the call of the Sayukta Kisan Morcha, and the entire Maidan was full. And we saw farmers coming. Of course, the majority came from Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Himachal, all states around Delhi. Naturally, because that's the adjacent. But I'll tell you, Seema, farmers came from all over India in a representative manner for this 14th March Delhi rally, and that itself showed very clearly that the farmers are still totally very much behind the Sayukta Kisan Morcha, and all the efforts of the government to break the unity of farmers will not succeed. Let me tell you one very interesting thing. Very interesting thing. For the last 2.5 years, after the farm laws agitation ended in victory, many times we approached the government to have a discussion with the Sayukta Kisan Morcha on the remaining demands. Not once did the Modi government respond. Not once in the last 2.5 years. But when the Shambhu border people, they announced it on the 13th of February, we saw a miracle. And what was the miracle? 3 union ministers went there 3 days before their agitation began. They went right up to Chandigarh and had talks with these breakaway groups 3 days before their agitation started. They had 4 rounds of talks, and 4 rounds of talks, they came to some this thing which was absolutely useless, meaningless. When they came out with that thing, the SKM immediately reacted that this is a betrayal of farmers. We will accept no such compromise. And because of that pressure, these Shambhu border people also had to come out with a statement saying that no, we are not agreeing to this, although they had actually agreed to this in the talks with the government earlier. So that Mili Bhagat, that kind of thing, that is very clear. The entire thing with the government and these breakaway groups became very clear as a result of these things.
But it's interesting that these breakaway groups could not carry on with the government because of the government's own, attitude, in the sense of the attack on the farmers and building those big fortresses and barricades. I think that all worked in getting the morcha back, as it were.
Surely, definitely. You see, because you're very right. The kind of repression that they started reminded farmers all over India of that earlier struggle. Those barricades, all those tear gas shells, water cannons, and that entire, barbed wire, all that. And the worst thing, Seema, was the police firing, which led to the death of a 21-year-old Shubkaran Singh, a young farmer, absolutely innocent. He was just there at that Kanori border, and he was just shot dead by the Haryana police, trigger happy. Nothing actually was there, and they just shot that poor boy. He was shot dead from the back of his head.
Yes.
So this had a tremendous bad impact.
Absolutely. But looking at it from the government point of view, they managed to get some breakaway organizations. They sent their ministers for dialogue. They were moving towards whatever it was, whatever kind of compromise. But then why do you think, and what's the understanding of all the leaders, why did they then break it down or help break it down with all this action of police firing, repression, etc.? I mean,
see, the situation is actually, you see, the police, and the Haryana government, BJP government led by Khattar, at that time by Khattar. Now they have changed Khattar, by the way. Exactly after that firing, they have had to change ML Khattar as the CM, and they had to change that Anil Vij of Haryana Home Minister also is not there in the new cabinet, you see. So it may not be that they have done it deliberately. The firing may not have been deliberate, but trigger happy police, they must be knowing that, all right, if they do this, the BJP government will reward them, because that is what has happened up to now always. So that is one thing. But this whole question of barbed wire and all that kind of thing, nails and all that, that was their typical, reaction pattern that has become the BJP government. Typical reaction pattern. They get so damn scared of farmers, although they knew that some of these organizations were all actually part of their, this thing. But they were not sure even then that maybe some farmers will even break the whole thing, etc. So that earlier experience that they had, because of that, all that thing, but that had a exactly opposite impact all over India, and reminded us of the earlier kind of repression which they were doing. And that is precisely why, actually, I think that they were forced to break away the talks, because they realized the Sayukta Kisan Morcha is still by far the representative body of the farmers of India. They have either got to talk to us, otherwise nothing will succeed. This, I think, they realized. And now they, of course, don't want to talk to us. They want to pull on. Yes, so we have given a call in the 14th March rally, that 23rd March, now today is the 21st, in 2 more days, 23rd March, as you know, is the martyrdom anniversary of Shahid Bhagat Singh, Rajguru and Sukhdev, a very important day in the annals of the Indian freedom struggle, when these 3 great martyrs laid down their lives. while fighting against the British, not only for independence, but let me also say, for the cause of socialism. That was what Bhagat Singh was. He was a believer in Marxism. He was a believer in socialism. And therefore, 23rd March, we have given a call in the Delhi Mahapanchayat that all over the country, 23rd March will be observed by the SKM, not only for our demands, but as Save Democracy Day. Save Democracy Day against this government, which is totally against democracy, against secularism, against the Constitution of India. And to save all this, the farmers will raise their voice all over India on the 23rd of March, 2 days from now.
And the last question, I know you need to go. Well, it's about this recent, what we call a spat with the RSS and the Morcha, the Samyukt Morcha, in the sense that the RSS has said that a lot of people who are part of the farmers' movement are also fighting for an independent state and are terrorists, etc., etc. And you have responded and obviously issued a very strong rejoinder to this. But the point is that there is this kind of an undercurrent always, in a very small way maybe, for a separate state, or isn't there? And do you feel that you've been able to keep the farmers' movement completely free of that? Is the question that people would be asking.
Yeah. No, you see, to tell you very frankly, today the demand for Khalistan doesn't have mass takers at all in the country, not also in Punjab. In Punjab also, this is not a live issue anymore. Let me say that very clearly. Are some people trying those stunts in Canada, USA, etc.? Certainly. In foreign countries, there are some Khalistani elements who are still trying. I'm not denying that. But in Punjab, people have seen what exactly the Khalistani movement led to. And today, I don't think that in Punjab, this is by any chance, has any chance right now of becoming any mass movement like what it had become in the 1980s or the 90s. Very clearly, this I would like to say. Now, having said that, you see what the BJP is now trying to do is trying to demonize the farmers' movement by using this Khalistan thing as a peg to hang all their accusations on. It is not the first time that they are doing it. Right when the agitation began on the 26th of November 2020, I still remember all their ministers, they first started by saying, because naturally it is our courageous Punjab farmers, most courageous Punjab farmers who started this struggle. And today also, it is no doubt about it, and we are proud of it. It is the Punjab farmers who are still in the lead of this. Punjab was in the lead of the freedom movement also. We have seen the Gadar martyrs, a large number of martyrs over there. We have seen Kartar Singh Sarabha, whom Bhagat Singh idolized. So therefore, all this thing we know. Punjab has had a tremendous impact on the farmers movement here. So therefore, they started saying this Khalistani right from 2020. That did not wash. Then they started, they are all Naxalites. They are all Maoists. Then they started saying that they are all anti-national. Then I remember one BJP central minister saying that this whole farmers agitation is getting funds from Pakistan and China. Ridiculous. I mean, more ridiculous kind of thing cannot be imagined. So it's an old game of the BJP RSS to try and badnaam, try and defame the farmers movement, which now again they have tried to do. We are not at all worried about it because we know that all these canards will not wash. They have not washed so far. They will not wash now also. But at the same time, we have, as you correctly said, the All India Kisan Sabha gave out a very strong statement against them. The Sayukta Kisan Morcha came out the next day with another strong statement against them. I'm sure about it. In the 26th of January, during that struggle also. You remember that Red Fort incident and that Sikh flag that went up. Now, all that then came out very clearly. Without the government being part of it, without the BJP being a part of it, that thing could never have happened. It could never have happened. Everybody now, even a blind man, knows that this is definitely a work of the BJP government. Otherwise, in the Red Fort, you try normally also going there, such strict security is there. What would it have been on the 26th of January? You understand? So therefore, it's very clear. These are all extremely, totally nonsense people. And certainly the country will not be taken in by the baseless charges of the RSS and the BJP.
Right. So on that note, thank you so much. And thank you for giving us such categorical, clear-cut answers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Seema. And thanks a lot to the citizen. Thanks a lot to all of you.